Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Commander Clash podcast, where the Commander Clash crew talks all things Commander. And this week, we got a fun one. We are talking about cards that might not be that good overall, but they are insane in the right deck. And we got some pretty spicy options to get to. But before we get into that, we got a crew to introduce. Let's kick things off with Phil, Brewer's Kitchen. What's up today, Phil?
Hey all, pretty excited for this one because we might hear cards that we didn't think of that make sense in decks, and that's always great.
Those are some of my
Decks
favorite
that we
cards.
play, yeah.
Yeah, the cards that are like not very good most of the time, but then in the right deck, they kind of pop off. I love cards like that. And I know someone else loves cards like that, which is Tomer, because his list of cards is like 20 cards long or something, and we need like 3 or 4. So you have come prepared, Tomer.
So the nice thing about like these cards that are only insane in the right deck are they're usually very, very cheap. So I'm very well versed with a lot of these because like that's how you get the power in the budget deck. So I'm super excited to talk about some of my favorite ones.
And then, of course, the Asian Avenger, Krim. Good morning, Krim. How's it going?
Good morning. It's going all right. I mean, I'm excited to talk about some of these cards, and hopefully I actually pick up a copy of some of these cards before any spiking might happen.
I know there's some cards on the list that I'm like, I might have to just pick some of these up for my deck. There's some cards on your guys' list that I was like, I hadn't even really thought about playing that card before, but that actually sounds really good. But we'll get into that in a minute. First, we had a couple of sponsors today. Our show is brought to you by Foil Armor. Do you have problems with your foils curling? Well, Foil Armor is the ultimate solution to flattening your foils. It's a 2-way humidity pack that you simply put inside an airtight container with your cards, and Foil Armor will absorb and release moisture, making your cards completely flat. Put it back in your storage box to keep your cards flat forever, and you can head over to foilarmor.com and use the code MTGGoldfish to get 15% off. Our show is also brought to you by Card Conduit, the easiest way to sell your Magic cards. Are you tired of all the hassles involved with buy listing? You can skip them with Card Conduit. You can use their curated service where you send in as many cards as you want with a buy list value of $1 or more, and pay just a 5% service fee. And if you want to do a bit of work, you can use their sorted service where you list and sort your cards in advance and pay just a 2% fee. Either way, you're going to get a detailed report with the results in a fast payment when your order is processed, and you can even get another 10% off by heading over to cardconduit.com/mtggoldfish. Card Conduit, it's the easiest way to sell your Magic cards. So thank you to our sponsors for supporting the show. And this week, there's no comment of the week, where our schedule is still a little bit wonky coming out of Vegas. So we're like too far in the future in a weird way, but we'll get back to it next episode, which means it's time to get into cards that are insane in the right deck. And Tomer, I know you like these cards. You got a big list of budget cards. Let's start with you today. What do you got for us?
All right. So I think at this point, we all kind of understand that big mana rituals that come in like mid to late game are often incredibly powerful and can kind of like turn a game that you're not winning into one you just like win in one glorious turn. And we've seen that like a billion times with Mana Guys, or Mana Guys has kind of been the go-to, the boogeyman, if you will, of like even like a Commander Clash. Like if you're in a red deck, somebody's going to Mana Geyser, and that's probably going to turn into a win. So here's one for a lot of black-based decks. This is Songs of the Damned. It's a rather old card, and I see it's like played in about 1% of decks according to EDH Rec. It's a 1-mana black instant that says add 1 black mana for each creature card in your grave card. Now, a lot of black decks are usually graveyard-based decks. Like that's one of the main, most popular supported archetypes in black. Either you're doing like self-milling, like if you're like a Marin of Clan Eltoth and you're doing graveyard shenanigans that way, or you're just like a creature-based sacrificey graveyard deck like a zombie list, for example. In any of those situations, I think Song of the Damned is a great mid to late game card that you can easily get like 4 or more mana and then just have a very big explosive turn. They'll probably win you the game or set you up for a game-winning position. Pretty simple. That's basically it. Like sometimes if you're like full self-mill, it'll be really, really good. Like if you're Angie or something, or Sidisi. But like if you're just like a black deck that has a lot of creatures in the graveyard just because, I feel like this is a nice, easy way to get like a mini Mana Geyser effect for very cheap.
Very interesting. I'm curious, like, how focused on the graveyard do you need to be to run this card? Because I know when I think of this card, I know there's like a Pauper deck where this is like its key combo piece and it's like cycles a bunch and uses this to make mana and like pops off. So I think of it as kind of like almost a combo piece, but maybe I'm undervaluing it, and it's something that I can just play as like a weird Dark Ritual style ramp spell in any black deck. Like, do you have a threshold, Tomer, that you're looking for to run this card, or can it just be like, I'm a zombie deck, I got a decent amount of creatures, I'm in black, it's probably gonna work out?
I think if you're like a zombie deck, I think you just jam it, right? Like, let's say like Verena is your commander or something, even Wilhel. Like Verena is like the best case scenario because it's all about cycling, like looting effects, and you're just putting a lot of zombies into the graveyard. You're setting up for a big mass reanimation turn. So any deck that just like really likes Living Death, for example, I think this is the same card you would put alongside Living Death. I have like also a combo with it. I have an Inami Death Aspect deck that I played on Commander Clash a long time ago, and Inami's just like when it ETBs, put all the spirits in your graveyard, in your library, into the
Yes.
graveyard, and then you just play Song of the Damned, and like, oh, I have 30 plus mana. But like you don't need to do that. I think like if you're just like a zombie deck, you just throw this in. Or what do you guys think?
When you consider that Dark Rituals pay 1 to make 3, you probably don't need that many creatures to make it worth it. But what do you think, Bill?
I was gonna say this because I play Dark Ritual in a lot of just black decks, almost like a original wording, like a mana source. Like if I draw cards, I usually play Dark Ritual. And that, I'm not mad at drawing it in the mid game because I can still ramp out a 7-drop or something. So that, I don't think you can run it without any self-mill or sacrifice, though.
Probably.
Because then you kind of, I guess if you run a bunch of rafts, but a little bit of setup you need, I think. Because otherwise there shouldn't be any creatures in your graveyard unless you get raft.
Or you run into Crim, who just always has Ghost Vacuum, and this card sucks.
Oh, God. No.
Yeah, you're right.
Not good against Crim. But Crim, would you run it in like a zombie deck? Or a
So I was going to mention that you gave me a deck, a sleeveless deck, a free one, right? And inside that deck is Songs of the Damned.
Of course.
And I've seen you talk about this card, and I've seen you play this card a lot, right? And it is really good in some of the shells. So like in the Mirko deck that you hooked me up with, I really liked it, right? I liked surveilling, and it was like a cheap budget way to ramp that isn't just like easy to get, right? It's not like a simple ritual that you don't have to work for. You do have to work for it, which is why I like it. It made a lot of mana, but it was because I was rewarded for surveilling nonstop, right? So I think it's a nice, it's a good card. I think it's one that I think is a fair one, and it's good on the budget. But I do think that depending on the type of deck you're trying to build, if you do not care about like bat powering down, I do think that this sometimes could just be like it's not that great, and then sometimes it has explosive turns. So I really like this card if you are trying to play like power bracket to burst in mana without being too busted. But I don't know, like if I'm playing a zombie deck and the power level of my zombie deck is like higher, like let's say a 3, I guess it's fine, but there's other ways. There's better ways to go about it. But I like it for the cost and for like the power level of it. I think it is a really nice burst in mana.
It won't be a geyser or anything, but
it won't be a geyser, but geyser's busted. So
I think this one and probably all cards on this list here just play better than they read.
I think that's probably true.
Yeah, so the cards from my list are cards that I played in a deck and then noticed like, oh yeah, wait, this is awesome.
Hang on a minute.
And this seems like maybe like in Necrobloom, this Astral like 6 mana, pretty.
You have a lot of creatures in there.
How much mana do you got to make?
I have
for you to want
the creature heavy build.
Are you fine with just getting a Dark Ritual?
I'm fine with Dark Ritual.
You're fine with a Dark Ritual.
Don't want 0 at the problem.
I'd want at least 5. Like Dark Ritual, the nice thing about Dark Ritual, you could go turn 1 Dark Ritual.
Yeah.
And there's no setup required. So this one is like, I want like 35 plus creatures in my deck. I want some way of sacrificing or self-milling. I want to make sure that there's like 5 creatures in my graveyard when I cast this. That's personally.
Yeah, that sounds about right. You probably want to get a little more than a Dark Ritual just because of the setup, but you don't really need to make mana geyser mana either, I don't think. You don't need 20 to make it worth it. Anyway, let's keep moving on. Next pick, Crim. What's a card that's insane in the right deck?
I know we just talked about a card that cares about creatures in the graveyard, but I love Ghost Vacuum and all of that. So I'm like, okay,
monster.
Graveyard Hate. How do I continue to play it while having it be relevant? And so the next card I play in my Deadpool deck because it's to represent Squirrel Pool. And Hazel's Brewmaster. That's right. 3 and a black. Menace. When it enters or attacks, exile up to 1 target card from a graveyard and create a food token. Foods you control have all activated abilities of all creature cards exiled with Hazel's Brewmaster. So this entering and it triggers again on attack allows me to eat up a lot of activated abilities. As we start looking at all the things that Magic cards do nowadays, at its floor, it's just a piece of Graveyard Hate. Right? At its floor, every time you attack, you get to eat something out of somebody's yard. This is already, this is becoming more relevant in the current year as there's so many graveyard synergies and things like that, flashback abilities, right? So this is just really good Graveyard Hate that comes with a body. It's kind of plain and simple, but on top of that, now all your food tokens can do some seriously busted things. Now, say you eat like a mana dork. Now you can use those those food treasures as a mana dork, right? A mana rock. Obviously, I think the other night I was able to eat a Veto up. And so Veto just attached to my food treasures is pretty sweet. So I don't know. I really like this card. It's also a fairly costed card with a decent stat line and has Menace. So it's not exactly just a 3/4 that sits out there. This thing is going to attack. And in my Deadpool deck, it does even more work. But yeah, in the right shells, I don't even think Deadpool is the perfect deck, right? Because this is just for flavor. But in an actual food deck, this would go wild, right? Any kind of deck that just has a ton of ways to make food tokens, this card will just eat up yards. All your foods now are more than just gain 3.
Yeah, I feel like in a food deck, the card seems great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so first of all, if you exile Devoted Druid, you have infinite mana. But
yes.
Yeah,
what is the
it
best
is only
thing you
opponent's
exile
graveyards,
with
right?
this?
So you have to,
Yeah.
your opponent has to get it in. So
Wait,
you can't use
A graveyard.
actually-
No.
Or can you?
You can
No,
get
it's from
any
a
graveyard.
graveyard.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
graveyard.
You can build
So
around
you
that's
can
it.
how
kind of
it
try to
works.
combo with it. That's kind of intriguing to me. Then, the fact that you can use this as a weird Agatha Soul Cauldron, and it's on a
That's
food,
cool.
which is going to make it hard to kill, and you do the Devoted Druid stuff. That's actually pretty sweet.
And
What's the
on
best
top
thing
of
you
that,
exiled with this yet?
best thing I've exiled with this? Oh, man. I think of Vivi.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Yep.
So having so far exiling a Vivi with this card is I feel like something bad is about to
Wait.
happen.
Is
No,
Vivi
then it has 0 power,
It
right?
doesn't have power.
Yeah, it'll have 0, or sorry, then it wouldn't be that, right? But yeah, the main thing here is I can't even remember right now. Vivi would have 0 power, so it wouldn't do anything.
yeah.
But I have exiled the Vivi with it, but that's just to eat the card.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I need to think here. I don't know what the best card is. The most recent card is Veto, right? Which gave all my creatures lifelink, which was pretty huge. But yeah, off the top of my head, that's all I can think of right now. But I was just playing it last night. I don't remember what I ate with it last night. But yeah, the card just all around. I without the combos. I mean, what I was gonna say is without the combos, I think this card fairly is just a fun card. It is very good.
I definitely run it in food
It
decks.
seems super
and
fun, yeah.
If it can have haste and maybe some ways of giving it evasion, I think it gets much
It has
better.
menace.
Yeah,
Menace
but
helps a little, yeah.
What is this, a 3/4?
I mean, if I'm in Igra or
Yeah.
Hazel itself, a deck that's actively
Yeah.
just spewing no master shaft, just a deck that's just spewing out food tokens, this seems like one of the best cards in my deck.
Slam dunk.
I don't know if I just play in generic black deck personally. Maybe if I build a combo around it, but I don't know if I play in generic black deck. But that's kind of what we're looking for, right? Is cards that really pop off in the right deck, and I think for me this really pops off in the food deck.
And I'm telling you, Seth, believe in the passive Graveyard Hate. believe in the passive graveyard hate.
I do like that this is a fun version of Graveyard Hate. I can't imagine that this is the best way to hate on your opponent's graveyard in just a generic sense, but it might be one of the most fun ways just because of the cool synergies you're going to get out of it.
Well, I did know Warren's Soul Trader.
Ghost Vacuum, yeah. They've done a good job making Graveyard Hate, but you're not embarrassed to put in your deck because it actually does something more than just hate on the graveyard, which I think is a positive. Well, let's get moving on. Phil, what's a card that goes insane in the right deck?
All right, so I play a card in my Jada deck that turned out to be way stronger than I thought. It is Vat of Rebirth for 1 black. Also, please don't graveyard hate me. Oh, so kind of a theme here. Whenever it's a 1 mana, 1 black artifact, whenever another artifact or creature you control is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, put an oil counter on it, and then for 3 mana, tap it, remove 4 oil counters from it. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery. So I thought I put this in my Jada deck because I have a decaying zombie every turn, and then once in a while I can reanimate something. Turns out this also triggers off treasures. So you just need to crack some treasures. So how this plays in the decks that I played it in, it always has enough counters on it, and the only question is there something in your graveyard that you want to reanimate for 3 mana? And then you can probably reanimate every maybe not every turn, but every second turn. Like a Rafts fuels this. It is crazy how efficient this is at repeatedly reanimating. Yeah. Please don't graveyard hate me, though.
It's so busted with treasures. Like,
yeah,
if you're a treasure deck, you're just popping them, and they're just getting a billion things, and then it's just a matter of like, once per turn I reanimate.
I think that's a cool part of this card, right? Like, if you're just one-shot reanimating, there's easier ways to do it. Animate dead or reanimate. But the power of this in the right deck is you get to do it every single turn. And 3 mana is like a pretty reasonable rate. So if you're in a deck that's just naturally sacking enough stuff to power this up, I think treasures are probably the easiest way. I could see an argument in some sort of sacrifice deck too, especially of like Grave Crawler shenanigans or some of those like loops that you can pull off with sacrifice. Like, you could also potentially be reanimating every turn in those decks. So in those decks, the card seems really good, and it's just so cheap for what it does.
Yeah, with Krim just said Warren's Soul Trader.
Yeah,
it sacrifices a creature to create a treasure, so that is 2 counters, and then you can also sacrifice the creatures that you then reanimated with it, which is most likely going to be Grey Merchant. But hey, I'm not telling you what to do with this. But it is super efficient, and 1 mana casting cost is beautiful.
Yeah, you can't beat the cost. Like, it is very efficient, and it doesn't even
target.
So you can trinket mage it, which I just love.
Yeah.
It's like
and there's
like
no finality counter either, right?
No.
So if the creature dies, you can get it back again potentially.
Yeah,
so good.
Grey Merchant every turn. That's what it says.
All right, I think I got a good one. So when we first pitched this topic, the first card that actually came to my mind, maybe not most the exciting card, but actually 2 cards. Astral Cornucopia and also Everflowing Chalice. So these are mana rocks. Well, let's go. They're very similar to each other. Everflowing Chalice is 0 mana, but it has multi-kicker. It enters with a charge counter for each time it was kicked, and you make a mana for each charge counter on it. Astral Cornucopia is just triple X, so it's 3 mana to cast it X equal 1, 6 for X equal 2. Enters with that many counters on it, taps to make that much mana equal to the counters on it. So these are underpowered mana rocks in general that in most decks you would not want to play these. However, if you're in the right deck, which is decks that can manipulate counters, the first thing you think of is like Atraxa that proliferates every turn. But we also have like Titus, the new Titus that can move charge counters around, which is cool. Anything that can manipulate counters, these go from underpowered mana rocks to absurdly powerful mana rocks, where essentially every turn you have Atraxa out, these are making 1 more mana. And once you add additional synergies in, I've seen people tapping these for 5 mana, 10 mana in the mid to late game, and it just like takes over the game all by itself. So most decks you're not going to want them, but in the decks that can move around counters or proliferate the counters or add more counters, these cards become incredibly broken.
You seen it when I played Titus or Titus.
I think it's actually Titus.
Yep.
Yeah, it's crazy. When you play around it, they are the best rocks.
Oh, so good.
I have this in my Venser counters deck. that nobody likes to play against. Um, but yeah, they're some of the best mana rocks. I also want to give like a quick shout out to a land that nobody knows about. Basically, it's City of Shadows. It kind of works the same way as Astral Cornucopia and Everflowing Chalice. You tap it to exile a creature control, and you put a storage counter on it, and then it taps for 1 mana. It makes 1 colorless mana for each storage counter on it. So the same thing as Everflowing Chalice and Astral Cornucopia, you just get 1 counter on it. That's all you need to do. And then every single time you're proliferating, it suddenly gets better and better and better and gets absolutely busted. And it's like insane in my Venser deck because every time I proliferate, I make a 3/3 creature token.
Yeah.
So I just sack the creature token and then have some fun. Yeah.
That's a good call, because that's a land that is also like really bad outside of those shenanigans. Like in a normal deck, if you have to sack multiple creatures to get it like powered up, it's just, and you exile them too, so they're gone forever. But like it's just so bad. But in the right shell, it gets super busted.
It is awkward that it doesn't make mana on its own. But you know,
Yeah.
it's like until you sack it up. But yeah, like I do like
Dark.
it.
It was a different time.
Just
All
play
right,
Blood
Blood
Moon is balanced.
Let's go back to the top of the order. Tomer, what's another card that goes insane in the right deck?
Okay, this is a newer card that I'm very much a fan of. It's like one of my favorite cards. It's Invasion of Segovia. Invasion of Segovia is a battle. It's the only battle I care about. It's a 3-mana blue battle. When an ETBs, you create 2 1/1 blue Kraken creature tokens with trample. It has defense 4, so once it loses all 4 counters, it flips. And the backside is a creature. It's Satis or Cadus, Sea Tyrant of Segovia. It's a legendary creature Serpent with 3/3, and non-creature spells you cast have Convoke, and at the beginning of your end step, untap up to 4 target creatures. So this card goes super, super hard in any non-creature deck that goes wide. So like token strategies, basically just token strategy. Like Spellslinger often has like Talrand and Young Pyromancer effects. There's a lot of like go wide Spellslinger commanders, even like there's a new Narset, there's the new Elsha, for example. All of these like spew out tokens, and usually they have prowess, so they want you to cast non-creature spells. And this just turns all those 1/1s and stuff you have laying around into mana dorks. And that's really rare to do outside of green. Green has like a lot of ways of doing that, but this is like a way to do it in blue. It even also untaps 4 of your creatures, and the invasion plus the flip side is 3 bodies as well to help you start convoking out non-creature spells. So I really, really love this card. It's like a huge mana advantage. It requires some hoops though, because you need to. It's a battle, so you need to actually knock that down. But like if you have like Elsha the threefold or whatever, then you just like smack the battle, and then now you have just convoke for days, and it's super, super fun.
One of the only battles I think that is actually worth trying to defeat and get the backside, because the backside is so busted. The other thing I love about the backside is the untapping 4 creatures on your end step is actually super strong, because it lets you dump your hand and do all your convoke stuff during your turn to get as much value as possible. And then you untap those 4 creatures, which will let you convoke out like an Arcane Denial or a Mana Drain or some sort of counter spell to protect the big board you just built during your turn. So I think, this card's so busted if you like are going wide and casting a lot of spells.
Yeah, this card's sweet. I absolutely think this is the best one in Commander, and especially in the right shells.
You gotta flip it, but if you flip it, it's
battles.
insane.
Yeah, we'll have to do a battle tier list so we can rank everything F except for this card.
Yeah, Cormier one was a tutor. So
I guess the others are decent, but I mean, like this is the only one where you want the backside. Like it's worth not hitting somebody for.
Yeah,
actually worth it too.
Back to you, Krim. What do you got for us?
Okay, so I think I got to play a lot of this card over the MagicCon weekend and the past couple of weeks, and it's probably nuts as a commander, and it's Hope Estheim. This card does not read like a real card. Like, it reads like a bad card, like a pet card, and maybe it is. But the main thing here is Hope Estheim is a white and a blue 2/2 with lifelink at the beginning of each, or at the beginning of your end step. Each opponent mills X cards, where X is the amount of life you've gained this turn. Okay, so I'm not gonna lie to you, I played this and I have not dropped a game with it, like when it comes to like on the con floor and stuff. And on top of that, like with friends, I think we've kind of established that this deck is a lot stronger than it reads, just because of how fast you can mill somebody out of nowhere. And the best part is that, like, now we kind of played with it, and realized that, okay, if you gain enough life, you can actually live long enough to see everyone's deck run out of cards.
Yeah.
And there's no shortage of giant life gain spells. And so I've started digging into like all the support pieces, right? Like Search Warrant, which kind of gives Azorius its own glimpse the unthinkable, and then combine all of this with just every passive life gain spell, which is a lot in Magic right now, right? Like things just gain life when it enters, and it's the total life gained at the end of the turn. On top of that, as a commander being only 2 mana, when it dies, it's just 4 mana. You just play it again. Right, you just keep playing it again, and it's kind of obnoxious, right, in that way. And I guess that makes sense when you think about who Hope's character is. He's annoying in the game, and everybody thinks he's annoying there, so naturally he'd be annoying here. And what's more annoying than lifelink and mill fused together? So like this is like the perfect card that is absurdly busted when you build around it, and in any kind of life gain shell or like a blue-white deck. Just there's so many things like a Sphinx's Revelation, those kind of cards, like playing Sanguine Sacrament. This card turns a lot of your like already like just generically huge life gain spells, like 2 mana gain 7, 2 mana, you know what I mean? All these giant spells like that just gain you so much life and mill so hard.
Yeah.
So you would play it in the 99 of an Azorius mill deck, life gain deck, just as a.
I would even
con,
play
I
it as just an Azorius, like, yeah, because like this is a nice alternative option, just because
No,
might
people
just be
it's like
killed
sort of
for
body
no
part on
reason.
steroids, Crib. You have the
Yes!
same problem that you're just milling and filling people's graveyards, but at least the sword does something. It makes a wolf and it gives you protection. This doesn't even do
Dude,
that.
I believe, dude. I think this card is generically good if you have enough life gain, right? Which you should.
I
Because
agree
As a
that
commander,
it's a good
great.
commander. It's a great commander. I cannot. I don't know if I can get behind the just jamming it in the 99 if I gain some life to just mill 7 here or there. That seems counterproductive to me, but
It is a
Well,
good
see-
surprise finisher. Like, there's just a lot of things where it's like, Beacon of Immortality, I gain 40, or, well, I don't gain
Yep.
40. Hopefully,
Yeah.
gain more than that. And then people just die. Or, yeah, if you do have it as a commander, then it makes a lot of sense because you're doing, like, incremental mill, and then your opponents are, like, I don't know, they're, like, 20 stuff left in the library, and then you can just finish them off with one big mill spell, one big life gain spell.
I will say, as a
I've seen it
commander,
work.
the card is way scarier than I thought it was. I saw Krim play it. He played it against us, and my goodness, like when you first brought it out, I was like, oh, whatever, like it's gonna mill a little bit here or there, but it actually is really hard to deal with. Like you said, it's so cheap, you can keep recasting it, and eventually got to the point where it was like, oh no, I'm actually just gonna die to this. It doesn't really matter what I do, I'm just gonna die to this thing. So I definitely gained a huge respect for it as a commander, where I think it's way better than it looks. Still not sold on the 99, but.
Look, obviously the 99, this is a niche pick, I'll admit, but like, oh my god, is it sick? Like, I'm just like,
It's a
Archangel of
cool
Noon
card.
swing. Oh baby,
Got 'em.
we're getting counters
Yeah.
on him, and the card is sick.
All right, let's keep moving on. Phil, what's your next pick?
All right, so let's hope Krim did a lot of milling with his hope, because I'm playing and I know this card comes up here and there in anything, Clash, podcast, whatever. And I think a few months ago was the time to buy it. It is Tombstone Stairwell. And I still have to pop up the actual Oracle text because it is on the reserved list and the original text is hard to decipher.
Oh, it's like
So-
$30 now too. Jeez.
Yeah, you should have bought it early. Okay, let me read it first. 4 mana, 2 black and 2 colorless. Cumulative upkeep 2. So you have to pay 2, then 4, then 6 to keep it around. At the beginning of each upkeep, if Tombstone Stairwell is on the battlefield, each player creates creates a 2/2 black zombie token with haste named Tombstone for each creature in their graveyard. And at the beginning of each end step, or when this leaves the battlefield, destroy all tokens created with it. They can't be regenerated. So a lot of extra text for every turn. For every creature in every graveyard, they get a zombie and they all have haste. And they all swing into each other. And if they don't swing, they die in the end step as well. And we saw this interact with a Blood Artist effect. And oh my god. And the same is true for Soul Sisters. Anything that cares about creatures entering or dying on everywhere on the board. My god, is this scary. The problem is it is on the reserved list. Few months ago, it was still $20 and it was cheaper in Germany. And even I got mine for like $10 to $12 after the Sephiroth game. And then I thought, I should probably get this. It is $30 in America. Who are you? It's probably like picking up. It is reserved list. Like, it's not going to get cheaper the more people find out about it.
It also has super cool art, and I just realized the artist name has an exclamation point in it. I don't know if I've ever seen anyone have an exclamation point be part of their name. Wow. But Dom, excited Magic artist. The card's insane when you're in the right deck. We saw in Phil's Commander Clash deck recently, and oh my goodness, it was just kind of unbeatable in the late game when everyone had so many creatures that it was just like one turn around the table. Because when I first read it, I'm like, well, cumulative upkeep, you're not going to be able to keep it for very long, right? Maybe 2 turns and you're going to stop paying for it. But it turns out that it just does so much in the couple of turns that you actually pay to keep it around that it doesn't really matter that it has cumulative upkeep. It's just going to probably kill the table in the right deck within a turn cycle or 2 turn cycles anyway. So most decks don't want it. Even I think most zombie decks wouldn't want it. But if you're one of those like Blood Artists like style decks where you have things that trigger off creatures entering or creatures dying, this just gives you so much fodder that naturally kills itself for you to trigger all your stuff.
I mean, I loved it. I had one of my first decks ever was Thraxamander Zombies. That was made it in like 2011 or 2012 or something like that. And Tombstone Stairwell was in that deck. And I do recall there are some zombies out there that are like when zombies die, you get that ping. It's like Diagraph Captain was one of the original ones. I think there's even one that's like, it doesn't even matter if it's your zombies. I think it's like whenever any zombies die, you get to ping somebody.
Oh, and there's like
there are some
when a creature enters, you drain.
Vengeful
so I guess
Death.
Yeah,
it's the old one. Yeah, I was thinking old. I think Corpse Knight was too new for me at least.
Yeah,
whenever this creature or another zombie dies, each opponent loses 1 life.
I almost think you could build
those fun times.
You could almost just build a hidden commander deck around this if you wanted to. Like,
yeah.
If you stack up enough pieces with it, it does seem like a pretty legit finisher.
Heavy and enough pieces. We've seen one Blood Artist with this, and I mean, Krim stole it, and I had a way to counter here, I think, but the damage it put out is just...
It's crazy.
Insane.
I think I had a...
I mean, that
Blood
Artist did do work.
Oh, yeah. I did a double take because it's a player on each upkeep, right?
Yes,
so everybody. So it was often like 20 tokens being created on each player's turn, which is 80 tokens one time around the table, and that's 80 Blood Artist triggers or 80 Soul Warden triggers. So yeah, it plays with, and the wording's so clunky on it too because it's so old, so it doesn't read all that powerful. But once you finally understand what the card does, you're like, oh my god, this card's actually kind of busted. Well, let's keep moving on. I got one that I got to shout out thanks to some of my Norn experiences recently. This is a card that honestly I forgot even existed. It's from, I believe, Bloomburrow Commander, maybe. But anyway, the card is Rose Room Treasure. So Rose Room Treasure. New Capenna Commander. That's what it is. So it's a 4-mana 4/3. It's a red card, an Ogre Warrior. And it says, whenever another creature you control enters, create a treasure token if it's the first or second time this ability is resolved this turn. Otherwise, you can pay X. When you do, it deals X damage to any target. So this is a card that In a Norn deck, if you don't know Norn, it's the commander that just blinks itself every turn cycle. But in my Norn deck in specifically, and in the Rocco Norn deck that Tomer gave me when we were out in Vegas, this card just absolutely pops off because Norn's entering every turn. So it essentially is like Red Smothering Tithe in that context, where every time around the table, you're making at least one treasure token on each person's turn because of Norn blinking. And then if you can build around it more during your turn, you probably had another creature enter, gaining a second token. The only thing I didn't like about the card is I actually found the damage mode to be a bit of a downside because I played the Norn Rocco deck a ton when I was at MagicCon Vegas. And I found that people were actually scared of the damage. Like, they didn't care about me popping off and making all the treasures, but they're like, oh no, if you ever have 3 creatures enter, you might kill one of my things. And I'm like, no, I'm just trying to make some mana over here. Leave me alone. So that ability almost ended up being a bit of a drawback. But my question for you guys is, what other decks would this work in? Because it's so perfect for a Norn shell, but I was trying to think of other shells. I think of like Afara, which really incentivizes you to play a creature each turn, but this is in the wrong colors. Are there any other decks, Tomer, where you think this card's really busted outside of like Norn shenanigans?
So the first deck that I put it in was like a budget. I forget its name, but it's like from like one of the Dominarias. It's like a mono red guy, and then for each aura and equipment on it, you make like a 3/1 elemental in combat.
Ooh, is it like Valduk or something? Like,
Yeah, it's like Valduk. I think it's Valduk. Let me find it. So Valduk, Keeper of Flame. Beginning of your combat, for each equipment and aura attached to it, you create a 3/1 red elemental creature token with trample and haste. That one's good because you'll usually trigger like 2 treasures and maybe even the damage mode each turn. But I think Norn's probably still way better because you're getting it on everybody's turn guaranteed.
or you know where it's really good is in Tombstone Stairwell decks. This card's gonna pop
Yeah,
off.
it's
I mean, if
guaranteed
it's
2
what it
treasures
is.
each turn.
Like,
That's
crazy
insane.
how good it is in that kind of deck.
If it didn't have the restriction of third time, then it would go infinite with stuff that makes creatures when you create a token, right? The new frog thing and Chatterfang and
like
stuff.
Quinoa.
So
yeah.
it kind of sucks. The third mode, like, you don't want to pay those treasures for this, right? I think you activated it
No.
once and it was probably relevant, but man, if it would just poop out treasures, whew.
That's been my experience. Is the removal mode you don't activate very often, but then every once in a while there's like a must-kill threat at the table, or you have an opponent that just gets low enough on life, they actually get into like a lethal range and you actually activate it. But most of the time it just sits out and makes a bunch of treasures. I would say if you're a deck that's in red and you can consistently make creatures during your opponent's turns as well as your turns, then this card's probably worth running. I think it's mostly Norn, but I'm sure there's some other brews out there that they can do that. Outside of that, if you're just making one treasure, it's a 4-drop, it's kind of slow. So I think it's really got to be in the right shell, but in the right shell, one of the best cards in the deck. Let's keep going. Tomer, what do you got for us? Insane cards in the right deck.
Okay. They're going to meme on me,
Yes.
but I know I'm right.
Yes.
So the card is Fade Away. No. Fade Away, everybody knows is already good.
It's
I have
on the
another
list,
card for you.
just to be
Proven
clear
good.
for all the
I
viewers
have
out
another
here.
card for you that's even, I dare say, even better than Fade Away
No,
in the right,
that's
in the right
impossible.
deck. It's also a blue card because the best cards are always blue. It's a creature. It's a very old creature. It's called Floodgate. Floodgate. Let's see. It's 4 mana blue creature wall, 0/5 defender, so it can block for days. However, when this creature has flying, you sacrifice it. And when this creature leaves the battlefield, it deals damage to each non-blue creature without flying equal to the number of islands you control rounded down. So
Yeah,
first of all,
half the
let's all
number.
appreciate just the flavor of this card, okay? It's a floodgate. What happens
Nailed it.
when you raise the floodgate? You give it flying. The water goes through. The more water,
But only
you
half
have,
the water.
But
the
only
more
half.
damage you're
rounded down.
doing. Yes, it's beautiful. It's perfect. So anyway, so that's number 1. So that's already a home run. Number 2, though, in a mono blue deck that is obviously you're running a lot of islands, and if you're Blink, this is mono blue Blink. This is absurd one-sided board wipe that you're just doing over and over again on a 4-drop. You just like play Floodgates, you blink it, all your opponents lose a bunch of smaller creatures. It comes back, maybe you blink it again, you kill everything, and then you just keep blinking it whenever you need. It's oppressive. This card came out in Vision in Mirage.
Yeah.
This card's good.
30 years ago.
To be fair,
You could even have a Wonder in the graveyard, and then you just play Floodgate as a board wipe for 4 mana, and it just destroys all your opponent's stuff. Insane.
okay.
Unless they have flying.
To be fair,
I mean,
we're talking about in the right deck, and at perfect conditions, this actually gets oppressive. Like if you have Thassa and Blink every turn, and have a bunch of islands.
Yeah, so Thassa as your commander
it is
or something like
oppressive
that.
even.
It's insane.
Yeah. I guess
the
I
blue-
can't hate on it for the purpose of this podcast.
The blue
Very
blink
flavorful.
thing kind of sold me. Like, yes, that would actually be a Dell. If you're playing mono blue blink, that would be a place where I would actually consider this. I'm still a little nervous if I just think about the number of islands I need to really make this like a Wrath. If I have 7 islands, I'm getting an Anger of the Gods, right? I'm getting 3 damage to everything.
Yes.
That doesn't seem that great for having 7 islands.
Wait,
So I feel like I
blinking.
really need 10 or 12
Keep
or
blinking.
One better. You don't even need to. Have you thought about the fact that this could also be a good thing for when you bounce your own stuff? Because what is let's say you played Azorius Blink, right? You got to maybe 6 islands, which shouldn't be hard in 2 colors anyways, right? Because it's not like it needs you to have basic islands. It's just number of islands. So let's say you got to about 6 to 7 islands, like you had mentioned, and all of a sudden now you can start bouncing back your Cloud Blazers. You can bounce back all of this stuff. So it's also good for you as you can totally get more ETBs to replay again.
Bounce back?
Wait, how does
they get
do that,
damage.
though?
They don't get bumped.
Oh,
it's not.
they get
classic.
damage.
It is
It's not a
yeah,
bounce
it's
back.
damage to each non-blue creature without flying equal to half the number of islands you control rounded down.
It's even better. It kills the
better.
creature. It
I like
kills
that
it.
idea. I like that.
Kills
That's
it.
so
You don't even
sick.
get it. You don't get to replay your Muldrift. No.
So I guess
Muldrift
it
is
wouldn't matter
fine.
because Muldrift
But,
flies.
Yeah,
But
but
the
the other
main-
stuff, they die.
Oh no, Cloud Blazer as well.
Oh, it keeps
Yeah,
getting
They
yeah.
better.
die.
They
No,
keep
but
then you play flyers and it doesn't hurt your stuff, and then you
Yes.
blink it a few times.
yes.
Maybe we got to do Floodgates week where everyone
This
builds
card's
a
kind of
Floodgate
sick,
deck.
actually.
Yeah,
And
actually,
also
it is
with
so
how
sick.
how
It's like
how
4
oppressive
cents, by
it
the way.
sounds.
I can't believe
It makes sense
Understandably.
because in Yu-Gi-Oh, Floodgates is the name for stacks pieces.
Oh.
And so
If you get to blink this as many times as you want,
Yeah.
it's essentially
I-
stacks. Your
I
opponent's-
think
it's
you-
Toxtrill.
I think you've sold me, Tomer. I think I still can't get
Okay.
behind this being a good card or a sleeper card, but I do think there is a single specific archetype out there where this card can actually pop off, which is exactly what we're looking for this week. So well done, I guess, somehow. Let's keep moving on. Krim, why don't you hit us up with a card?
all right. This one might be kind of mean, so depending on the power level that you're at. But this is a very good card. And I also think from Mirage, it's Hall of Gemstones. 1 green. During each player's upkeep, that player chooses a color. Until end of turn, lands tapped for mana produce mana of the chosen color instead of any color. So where does this shine in a mono green deck? Right? Like in a mono green deck, or maybe if you really don't care about your second color and you want to get wild, sure. But like this card makes it so that when you go to your turn, let's say I name green, right? Great. Now all the blue players, all the control mages, all their lands tap for green until the next player's turn. So it's this enchant world that just kind of goes around and really helps. Like if you're a monocolored player, you don't care. Right? Like whatever, do your thing, just choose your color and then have a field day, right? But all the multicolored people and like all the 3-color decks and all of those, yeah, they're kind of hard stuck on casting anything. So I think this is really funny in a mono green deck because I got by it. And I'm just like, this is sick.
So this card's so weird. Oh, what were you gonna say, Tomer? Go ahead.
I was gonna say my boomer moment with this card is like this card. I remember being played in my original group's meta because there was a mono green player who was like, I hate that you counter all my spells, blue player. So he played this and he would choose green, And then if your opponent, like if the mono blue player doesn't have like blue sources of like mana rocks or something, the counter spells are turned off, right? Because
Yep.
now all the islands tap for blue. So it's like a cheeky way of like stopping interaction on your turn as well.
And
I feel
just
like-
multicolored decks.
Yeah, it makes multicolored decks sad too.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It seems like it's weird, like counter hate in a weird way, where you play this and you turn your opponent's colors into lands into colors that they can't cast their counter spell with. But I think the spiciest way to play this is it seems like it'd be really good in Richard decks. You know, Richard
Yeah.
in his colorless land addiction, he can
Yeah.
turn all of his
Yeah.
colorless lands into
No.
lands that actually make functional mana. It's like having another Yavimaya on the battlefield almost.
That's so perfect. Richard and his colorless mana can finally
Honestly,
have
if
green.
I was playing against Richard, I wouldn't even play this because it would mana fix him.
Yeah, I know it would be helping. It would be helping Richard.
Fun fact:
That's-
if you play this, Tombstone Stairwell gets destroyed because both are world
Oh, the
enchantments,
world
which is
enchantment.
still
That's
Leave.
so funny.
Whoa.
World enchantments.
Play it
World.
around.
How many people know about World Enchantment that's listening right now? That's
There's dozens of
yeah,
them.
you can
I'm
only have
sure.
one of them on the board. at
yeah,
any
most of
time.
them are on the reserve list. Although, like Concordant Crossroads is one.
Yeah.
A boo blue. There's another one
A
that is
Fairies.
recently reprinted.
Wait, isn't there like a Teferi world enchantment?
Surely,
Oh.
there's. I recently
There's
checked
a
all of
phasing
them.
one, right?
Fairies
The fairy-
Realm.
Yeah.
Right, there it is.
Oh my
I-
god! Has anyone
they're
ever had
weird.
a world get destroyed because
I-
somebody else played a world? I don't
I
think
have
I've
never
ever had
seen
that.
Probably
it.
didn't notice.
I've never.
Yeah, to be honest with you,
Didn't know.
probably
This is
could
probably
have just blown right by me because I read it as an enchantment.
That's funny.
All right. From World Enchantments back to Phil. Phil, what do you got for us?
All right, still sticking with enchantments though. They came from the pipes. 5 mana, 4 and a blue.
So sick.
Enchantment.
Yeah.
When they came from the pipes enters, Manifest Dread twice. Manifest Dread is look at the top 2 cards of your library, put one of them on the battlefield face down as a 2/2 creature and the other one in the graveyard. Put it face up anytime for its mana cost if it's a creature card. So you manifest, but you have 2 options. The other one goes in the graveyard. And then whenever a face down creature you control enters, draw a card. And I think this one is the text that led people in the wrong direction, because this is probably good in a face down deck, but it is also absurd in a blink deck. If you can blink, first of all, anything face down is cool. If you can blink it, you can put your Moldrifter, like manifest dread it, then you blink it, and then it comes back on the top side. So the things you manifest with this are great to blink. If you can blink this with stuff like Yorion, oh my god. So it enters for 5 mana, you get 2 creatures, 2 cards in your graveyard, and 2 card draws. And then if you flicker this, oh my god. I played this in Kaika, which was also a non-creature spell to flicker, to trigger Kaika, and it overperformed majorly. It was also a Kaika face-down deck, but everything face-down works well with flicker, so maybe those 2 overlap in general, but this one, plays very well.
This card seems really good to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
Yeah.
5 mana, you get 2 2/2s, you fill your graveyard, and you draw 2 cards. I'm still playing Muldrifter like it's 2007. Is this not just way? And you can still do the blink shenanigans. I feel like this is actually like, now that I'm thinking about it, this card actually seems just very strong.
It's
Think
it's
I've
a
seen
slam
Richard
dunking
play
like
it.
Hadina. I put it in my Etrata. There's a new
Yeah.
Etrata from last year, Murderers of Carla Manor.
Murders.
That's like whenever assassins are dealing combat damage to opponents, you cloak the top card of their library. So every single time you're cloaking, you draw a card too. There's like a lot of like anything that deals with like face down, putting face down cards. It's like it's so strong.
I'm surprised we haven't played our Etrata decks against each other.
Ooh, I didn't know. I
Hits
did not
each
know
other.
you also
Yuck.
had an Entrada deck.
Yeah, because I had the invisible ink one, which I can't tell,
sick.
by the way, like what that it is.
It's
Oh,
invisible.
like a little Easter egg for yourself, where you pull out
Yeah,
the black
yeah.
light. You're like, look,
Tomer, this you only had to have the brightest and weirdest light in the world to see it. But like I do think that they came from the pipes. That card in that deck is a house, and I really love this card. Duskmourn brought a lot of cool stuff for the face down stuff, so I genuinely love just that whole set from top down. So
I mean, if
naturally this card would come from there, and it is so sick.
I just like how well it plays in blink decks as well, especially if you can blink itself.
I mean,
yeah, if you can blink it. Brago loves this.
Yeah. I remember they did, like, there were some 3-mana enchantments, like Light Shield, and there was a blue one that would, like, back from original Tarkir that would manifest. And I remember, like, 10 years ago playing those in blink decks, and this is just, like, a way more juiced version, of what I was doing back then. All right, let's keep moving on. Speaking of blink decks, my next pick, I struggled with this one because I feel like this is a card that is insane in the right deck, but it's not going to do like the Tombstone Stairwell win you the game. But I think it's really, really good in a certain archetype. And according to EDH Rec, people don't really play this card. And this is a Bloomborough card called Parting Gust. So Parting Gust is double white mana for an instant. It says exile target non-token creature, and then you can gift a tapped fish. So give your opponent a 1/1 blue fish creature token. If the gift wasn't promised, you blink the creature and it returns on its owner's end step with a +1/+1 counter on it. If you do gift the fish, the creature just gets exiled forever and it's gone. So essentially, this is 2 mana hard removal. You exile any creature permanently, or it's 2 mana, flicker out one of your own creatures in some sort of blink style shell, some sort of Panharmonicon ETB style shell. Honestly, you could play it in any shell, I guess, and just use it. Since it flickers back at end of turn rather than immediately, it gets around a Wrath or whatever. But to me, this is a card that is just like a staple in any blink deck that I'm playing. If I'm playing any sort of ETB blink deck, I love this card because I can play it and use it like an ephemerate to blink my own thing to further my game plan, or I can use it as removal in a pinch. So if I'm playing any sort of like Plagon, I think was the most recent deck where I played this card, and it was really, really good because Plagon's all about having things enter the battlefield again and again to draw a ton of card advantage. You just want to be blinking your stuff over and over again. Brago would be another one. Preston, any sort of deck like that, I think this card is just actually really solid. Although I will admit it's kind of just like a utility spell. So maybe not the flashiest pick, but I think it does kind of pop off in the right deck. But have you guys tried playing Parting Gust at all in like blink style decks? What have you thought of it?
I played in thought standard. I would, but then I forgot about it. In standard,
I played in standard too, actually, for the same reason. Yeah,
I mean,
well, it's because of my love for it and like I learned to love it in standard just because of how fun it was being able to blink blue-white Gear Hulk. That's why I took that and moved that into Commander. And so it is the hardest part though, and the reason why this card sticks in my head is mostly just because when you read it, it's kind of like not exact. Like I can't tell you how many times I messed up. Okay, do I exile the card and then give the 1/1, or if I give them the 1/1, they don't exile, it comes back. So the wording is a little very, very clunky.
Yeah, I think this card's very good. I mean,
it is good.
The fact that it can be a protection or a blink spell, but also it doubles as like a Swords to Plowshares in the deck. It's double white, so like.
That is
I don't know. Maybe if I was like 3-color, I'd be like side-eyeing it a little bit. But if I'm like in 2-color, this is like a no-brainer for me in a blink deck.
Is it BM if I say, if you cast it and say, "Are you gifting the fish"? Is that BM?
No, that's got to be fine, right? I think.
Okay,
feels fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so play it in your blink decks. It's really good. It's a removal spell / blink spell / protection spell. But let's go back to the top of the order. So we're running a little long. Let's do a lightning round, though. I think we can get through one more card if we keep it from going super long. So let's go back to Tomer for lightning round style. What do you got for us?
I have to shout this one out because this is the only time I'll ever get to shout it out. And you already took Floodgate very well. So here's the last. This is okay.
If this is fade away,
not
Tomer,
crazy.
It's not going to go well.
Tomer's not crazy.
You're not going to.
All right. This is the best. This is the best one. You'll be like, oh my god, Tomer. This is actually. How did I live with this card for so long? Nobody plays it, by the way. Nobody plays this card. I forced Crimp to play it because I put it in his deck. I hope he played it. It is my boy Carrionette. Carrionette. It's a 2-mana black 1/1 skeleton. doesn't do anything on the battlefield. Nothing. It's just a 2-mana 1/1. However, you put that baby in the graveyard. Suddenly it has an activated ability. 2 and double black. Exile this card and target creature unless that creature's controller pays 2 mana. Activate only if this is in your graveyard. Now, the beauty of this card is, you see, you can actually, this is instant speed removal. Number 1. Okay, so I already sold you, right? Number 2, though, you can actually respond to its own ability to potentially exile multiple things. So believe this.
Just 8 mana.
You're black. You know, your graveyard deck, you put the Carrionette in the graveyard. You got your Cabal Coffers. You got a lot of mana.
Songs of the Damned.
Yeah. Songs of the Damned. What do you want to spend all that Songs Man on to? What about exiling like 6 creatures with Carrionette at instant speed? And also the thing is, like, nobody's gonna play around this. They're gonna be tapped out. You know, they're gonna be tapped out. They're gonna
they can still pay.
They don't play around the Carrionette. They didn't play around it. They didn't keep the 2 mana. Boom, gotcha. Done. It's over. I put this in a Convergence of Dominion deck, which that could have been his own thing, but I screwed that. But the whole point of Convergence of Dominion is makes this cost half as much to activate from the graveyard. So you could do twice as much Carrionette. So this is the truth. This is the truth. Goodbye, Swords to Plowshares. Hello, Carrionette. I'm just saying.
Wait, hot takes
3 more
was last
mana,
week,
but
right?
I just want to say it was today that I learned after playing with the deck that you gave me that at last line is use this ability only if it's in your graveyard.
Yes.
In my mind, I just read as use this only at sorcery speed. I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
is this card bad? Like, I don't know why Tucker has this in here.
It's speed.
Okay, so that is on me. I didn't read that last line. I kind of just skimmed. I'm like, okay, very clunky wording. Yeah. All right, can only be used as source.
Terrible.
Well, and so all game, I guess I did not know I could respond with this. Okay, maybe this card's a little bit better in that Mirko deck you gave me. It's very
truth.
funny.
It's
But
truth.
The question is, Tomer, without it being digital, right? There's like, first off, yes, maybe my opponents forget that it's there and they don't leave up the mana. But Tomer, what happens if I forget that it's there? Have you ever factored that in?
I'm actually curious. So I haven't played with this card, although I'm like intrigued by it. 4 mana is kind of a lot, I guess, but it is cool. You can activate it multiple times in response to itself, I guess. My question, Tomer, is, you've played with this card, presumably. Do people actually leave up 2 mana in case you activate it? Because I feel like
Never.
if people actually do that, then this card's probably even more busted, because that's a lot of mana to waste on the off chance that someone's going to carry it at you. Like, you're kind of double fouling yourself to play around it.
It's a sample size of like 4. I've only gotten to play this card like 4 times. But every single time I play it, I always mention, hey, I'm putting, like, every single time I have like a thing that I could use from the graveyard, I always mention, or like something that like I could reanimate. I'm like, hey, just so aware, Carrionette, and then I put Carrionette on top of my graveyard, and then like I'll give them like maybe like 1 reminder, you know. But after that, you know, I told them what the card does. It's in the graveyard. I reminded them 1 time. And then they no one has ever remembered to keep up to.
Tomer's wording so clunky. I didn't, like, are you kidding me? I had that in my graveyard and had no idea what I was doing with it.
It's so
I
good.
play Crystal Shard in my Flibblethip deck, and I am always surprised at how many people, after a few turns, the game goes along, and people just tap out for something, and you just get them. Because it's like you bounce a thing unless they pay 1. And, like, I do it too, I guess. Like, the games get complicated, and they go long, and eventually you forget to pay for it. So I might have to check out some Carrionette action. Well, Krim, let's move on to you. Lightning round. What's your final pick of the day?
All right, I talked about life gain, and I kind of forgot about this card until I built my Hope deck, but I think Sphinx of the Revelation is a wild card. It is 3 blue-white, flying lifelink 4/5. Whenever you gain life, you get that much energy. Then you pay white, blue, blue, tap it, pay X energy, draw X cards. I think this card is nuts. I don't know how this card's only like 34 cents, right? Like this card allows you... First off, it itself will gain you the life, right? So it can feed into itself. And then the next turn, you have to tap it, then you can gain the life. But again, with so much passive life gain, you can just get so many cards off of this. I don't know. This is also a very cute nod to my favorite control finisher spell, aka Sphinx's Revelation.
Finisher.
So, yeah, this is the finisher. Yeah. Now this card actually can close out the game because it has a body, but the main thing here is that life gain clause is so nice.
It's pretty wild that the X is for energy, not mana. Like, you only ever get 3 mana, right? And, like, in a deck that's a life gain deck, like your Hope deck or some sort of Soul Sister style deck, or an energy deck, I guess.
Energy, yeah.
Energy is very easy to make if that's what you're trying to do. Like, it's not that hard to build up a big pool of energy. And this seems like an insane way to turn that into card advantage. So, yeah, I think I'm on board. Only in, like, a dedicated life gain deck or energy deck would I even consider it. I don't think just, like, playing it on its own, because it has to untap and it has to attack. Like, so as a standalone card, I'm kind of meh. But in, like, the Hope deck or life gain deck, it actually seems like kind of a bomb.
I think it's truth in life gain decks. You have to be Azorius life. I guess one strike against it that there's just less Azorius life gain decks out there.
Until
now that the Hope meta has been established.
Yeah, the
I
Hope
don't know.
meta is here.
Maybe that'll change. But yeah, this card is absolute gas in there, right? Because I can very much easily see, like, you play this, you from probably like gain like at least 5 life or 10 life. By the time like this wheels around and you want to activate its ability, like, and it's like 3 mana, tap it, draw 10 or something.
Yeah,
seems pretty reasonable in a life gain deck. That's kind of like
Not
what
bad.
the deck wants to be doing.
Well, let's move on to Phil. What's your final pick, Phil?
All right, so this one isn't for me. It's a shout out Rodrigo for putting me onto this. It is Freestrider Lookout. Rodrigo also plays a Lonis deck. It's Toma's boyfriend, by the way. Pretty cute.
Yes.
It is 3 mana, 3/3, reach. Whenever you commit a crime, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a land card from among them onto the battlefield tapped. Put the rest on the bottom of the only once each turn. So it's just all the stuff that obviously is there. But once each turn, like, triggering a crime once each turn is easier than you think. If you build around it, of course. But also with some random commanders. So I play this in Lonis, and Lonis had this activated ability where you can sacrifice clues, but you can also sacrifice 0 clues and just target opponent reveals 0 cards. So you can tap Lonis to
crime
ramp.
them.
Yes, and there's also
commit a crime.
It's crime for 0, and then stuff like Miss Bumbleflower or Cole's Defense Constructor. A lot of commanders just target something with their ability every turn, and with this I guess you could whiff, but this plays so well in the decks that crime regularly. And then if you have, like, I don't know, if you play like Burn or something,
crime regularly.
Yeah.
I have
like a Blood
a
Artist, for example.
Yeah.
Blood Artist targets, so that's a crime in a lot.
I also love that it's not basic lands either, right? You're snaking any land from your top 5, which makes it even more powerful. So yeah, I think when you consider that we pay 3 mana just to ramp once a lot of times. Like, what's 2 to 3 mana, I would say, is like the rate for ramping. If you're at 3, you're kind of the more casual side. 2's the more like that spikier side. But still, 3 mana to ramp once is not super unreasonable. So that means you really only need to trigger this probably once for it to kind of be okay. And if you ever trigger it 2 times, it's like above the curve. And anything more than that, it's like kind of busted. So yeah, if your deck can do a lot of crime in this, this card seems really good.
Shout out to Rocco Streets Draft, because anytime you exile a top card of everybody's library every single turn, and then anytime anybody plays a card from exile, you get to make a food and put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. So you just target your opponent's stuff with +1/+1 counter, which you're going to be swimming in. You get the triggers all the time, and then it's just like ramp. And like it's inside one turn cycle, you get like 4+ lands ramped out. It's absolutely busted. So good.
Well, let's move on. So my final pick, we kind of have a group of cards here, but I wanted to shout them out because these were cards that I know, Tomer, you had on your list too. And I had some on my list, and we got to get them in before the podcast ends. So this is actually, I think, 4 cards, and there might be more that are similar. But the card that I had thought of is a card called Sacrifice, which is a 1 black mana instant that says sack a creature and add an amount of mana to your black mana to your mana pool equal to the creature's mana value. There's also Burnt Offering, which is the same thing, except it makes black or red mana. And then I know, Tomer, on your list, you had a couple of similar effects in Energy Tap and Metamorphosis. What do those ones do?
Energy tap is blue. It just taps a creature and you make colorless mana equal to its mana value. So you don't have to sacrifice it. And then Metamorphosis works the exact same way as the Burnt Offering and Sacrifice. You sacrifice a creature and then you choose a color and you make mana of that color equal to its mana value. And that was a Phil special from some podcast long ago. The Metamorphosis, and that just like triggered everything from there.
So we don't gotta go.
I played
go ahead,
in
Phil.
my Maelstrom Wanderer deck, and I want to recast it for Cascade anyways, and it adds 8 mana. And my God, does it overperform in this deck? It's crazy.
I think I saw you do that in a game at Vegas, like
Yes.
a hotel room game where you cascaded into it and then you like tap something and made 8 mana and like kept your big combo turn going, and it was super wild. So I think that all of these cards are very underrated, but you do need to be in the right deck to play them. But it kind of wraps back around to what we were talking about at the very start of the cast with Song of the Damned, where you're only paying 1 mana. Dark Ritual gives you from 1 to 3. This is often going to do way more than that. Yes, you do have to sack or tap or whatever a creature to get the mana out of it, but still, like, I think it's more than worth it, especially in 2025 when we keep getting more and more mechanics that are like letting you cheat high mana value things into playing the cheap. Think of like the Overlords from Duskmourn that are technically high mana value, but you can play them much cheaper thanks to Impending, or like Affinity, where you can play like a Mirror Enforcer that's 7 mana value, or a Mycosynth Golem that's 11 mana value, but play it for free theoretically thanks to having enough artifacts on the battlefield. In decks like that, where you have high mana value permanents that you can cheat into play on the cheap, these cards actually do seem like they get almost a mana geyser level. Like, if you can be sacking like a 10 drop that you played for free and making 10 mana off of this, I don't know how you'd not win the game. So I don't think every deck would want it, but if you're in a deck that's cheating those expensive things into play, I think these cards are definitely worth considering at least.
I think you got to look at the commanders that have like a huge cost reduction to them, like Gelta.
Yep.
I just put the Metamorphosis in there, or like the things that you want them to die because then you're gonna recast them again, like the Maelstrom Wanderers. Like, those are perfect.
Yeah. But keep in mind, and they're also super cheap still. They're very old, but they're still also very cheap because no one plays them. So anyway, those are our cards that go insane in the right deck. You heard our picks. Let us know your picks. You got a favorite card that's only really good in a certain deck that you really love? Let us know about it in the comments. Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks to our sponsors, of course, for supporting the show. And we'll be back next week to talk some more Commanders. So until then, have an amazing week, everyone. And this is the crew signing out.